Hi, I'm Becca. I'm one of the co-founders of AnchorWatch. I wanted to take a few minutes and explain more about how our custody solution works. So we've built our custody solution called Trident. It uses technology called miniscript. This is Bitcoin native technology that enables some advanced spending conditions to be used to protect Bitcoin. So I'm going to show you a visual of how the vault actually works and how your key management would work if you become an AnchorWatch customer. So what you're looking at here is our vault. So this is a Trident vault, and this is how your Bitcoin would be stored. And what's actually on screen is a representation of how your vault behaves over the course of a year. So I say that because we are using what are called time locks. A time lock in Bitcoin means that a certain amount of time must have passed in order to spend the Bitcoin. So a standard Bitcoin wallet, say a single sig or a multi-sig wallet, the default amount of time is zero. It's available immediately. So the smart contract is actually saying, if you've signed your transactions, so if one of one, then spend the Bitcoin. If no time has passed, available immediately. With a time lock, it also looks at, an additional amount of time. So it can look at block height or wall time, and it says if the keys have signed and a certain amount of time has passed, then you can spend the Bitcoin. So we use this to cover various scenarios and protect you even if something has gone wrong. And I think the big thing that is really, really different here is it means that while you're a customer of ours and an insured customer and you have an active insurance policy, we're able to provide additional protection on your vault. But if you choose not to be our customer any longer, then the vault actually behaves just like single sig, or I'm sorry, like self-custody. So I think one thing that's really important to call out with Bitcoin time locks is once they are available, they're always available. Just like a single sig wallet, once that wallet is set up, as long as you have your signing device, as long as you have the seed phrase, it's always available. You can't turn it off. So time locks with miniscript, with Trident Vault work the exact same way. So when you become a customer, you start out in layer one. So layer one is actually two multisigs. It's a 2 of 2 multisig, but under the covers, each one of those keys is its own multisig. So you, the customer, have your own signing devices. These are your own keys that you would set up yourself. So you're generating the private key, and AnchorWatch never has those private keys. And the smart contract is effectively, if no time has passed, so effective immediately, if 2 of 3, your 2 of 3, and if our 2 of 3 sign the transaction, then the Bitcoin can move. So note that this is not a 4 of 6. These do not combine. It's two independent 2 of 3s that must be satisfied. So if 2 of 3 and if 2 of 3, then move the Bitcoin. Layer 2 opens up at 6 months in. So about halfway through your insurance policy, then we have layer 2 that says if customer 1 of 3 and the AnchorWatch key set sign, then the Bitcoin can move. So this is just kind of solving for some sort of situation where the customer keys have been compromised and you've lost access to 2 of your 3 keys. So as long as you still have one, we can still work together and spend the Bitcoin. So it becomes if 1 of 3 and if 2 of 3, then spend the Bitcoin so long as 6 months has passed since we set up the vault. Okay? So layer 3 is what we call our recovery layer. I like to skip describing layer 3 and make sure to call out layer 4 because layer 3 makes more sense in context of layer 4. So layer 4 is actually the sovereign recovery layer. We call it the sovereign recovery layer because it really is sovereign. It operates without AnchorWatch's help whatsoever. So it's just a customer 2 of 3. It's the customer multisig. And you'll note this dotted line here where I'm calling out that the insurance policy has ended. So this is actually timed for just about a year after you signed up, about 2 weeks after your policy ends, and it becomes a customer 2 of 3. So as long as you still have your signing devices, even if AnchorWatch is non-responsive, if we haven't been around to sign transactions, if the company went bankrupt, if we were bad actors, if we were not willing to sign transactions for any reason, it is already programmed into this vault that 380 days after we created the vault for you, it is a 2 of 3. Okay, so this means, you're protected from many things, including us. But that exposes you to some risks. You're signing up with us because you don't want to do just a 2 of 3 multisig. There are dangers associated with that. And that's where layer 3 comes in. So layer 3 comes in a month before your insurance policy ends. And it is a spending condition that says if that amount of time has passed, around 11 months, then the AnchorWatch key set and the key set of our recovery partner can come together and move the Bitcoin on your behalf. So why would we need to do this? There's two main scenarios that we're protecting against with the recovery layer. The first is something has happened and you have lost all 3 of your keys, for any reason. So loss, they were stolen, whatever it may be, you passed away. And let's say the keys were stolen. So somebody has come and, gun to your head, they have demanded that you hand over your keys. Thank goodness you're insured. You can protect yourself. The keys are stored in different locations. They tell you to take them to the keys, and you do so, right? So you take them, you hand over your keys, you give us a call, and you're like, AnchorWatch, this just happened, the situation, it was crazy, all my keys are gone, what do? We say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put our date on the calendar when the recovery layer becomes available. When that happens, we and our recovery partner will come together and we're going to set you up a brand new vault, new signing devices, a new vault that has nothing to do with this vault. And we are going to move the Bitcoin on your behalf into the new vault. And that way, a month later, 45 days later, when layer 4 opens up, and this becomes a sovereign self-custody vault, those stolen keys that the thieves have, they can control the vault, but there's no Bitcoin in it because we have already moved the Bitcoin to a safe location. So we've mitigated that risk by having this recovery layer. The second use of the recovery layer is actually if you pass away. So if you're a customer of ours and you pass away, so let's say you controlled all 3 of these keys. They can't be stored in the same location, but you as the customer, you can be the one who knows the PIN code and knows where they're located. Unlike some other solutions out there in the marketplace, if you pass away, your beneficiary, so whether that's a spouse or children, regardless, your estate, the beneficiary of your policy doesn't actually need to know anything at all about Bitcoin or about the location of your signing devices or the PIN code or anything. The only thing that needs to be understood is that they're beneficiary on your insurance policy. So if that happened, let's say you're a customer of ours and you're married, you've passed away. Your spouse reaches out to us and lets us know the situation and says like, I don't know anything. I have in my documents that we have an AnchorWatch policy. What happens next? We'd say, okay, take the next few months and take care of your family. When this recovery layer opens up, let's say that's on October 15th. On October 15th, we will be able to access your Bitcoin and we'll be able to move it to a safe location. So of course we have an inheritance protocol. We're going to verify death certificates, the identity of the beneficiary on your policy. So we're going to do all that compliance work, but let's assume everything is above board and looking good there. We'll take care of the spouse. We will educate them. If they want to continue hodling Bitcoin and being a long-term holder and they'd like to be a customer of ours, we'll get them set up on a brand new vault. We'll take good care of them. If they want to do something else with the Bitcoin and they need to send it to a different location, of course, we can support them in that as well. And so when that recovery layer opens on October 15th, we will be able to move the Bitcoin out of this vault with the keys that you had controlled into a new vault that can be fully controlled by your spouse or estate or beneficiary. So that, I think, is one of the real advantages of using a solution like this, is that for the most part, hopefully we will never be using layer 3. It is there only in these edge cases or really these emergency situations. But it is of vital importance if we are in one of these situations. I do want to call out a couple of places where then the insurance actually plays in. So everything I've described thus far is actually how the technology is protecting you. And the technology is incredibly robust, incredibly secure, and it does protect you from, maybe the majority of situations. But there's a few things that really it cannot protect you against. So let's go back to the first scenario where all 3 of your keys were stolen. Let's say those thieves were more sophisticated. So you try to hand over your keys, and you do, but they've done their research. They say, we know you're an AnchorWatch customer. We know that AnchorWatch is a required signer. So I need you to put in a transaction request and convince AnchorWatch to sign this transaction. You can tell them you're buying a house. You can tell them you're buying property, a business. You can tell them whatever you want. But despite AnchorWatch's compliance, we demand that you convince them that everything is fine and to sign the transaction and send the Bitcoin. So let's say that happens. We do our compliance, we get on Zoom calls, we talk to you, and you're a great actor and you do convince us to sign the transaction. So we send off the Bitcoin. We sign the transaction, and now the Bitcoin moves, and now it has been successfully stolen from you. You call us back when you're in a safe situation, and you say, okay, I told you all of that. None of that was actually true. Actually, here's what happened. Gun to my head, gun to my kids' heads. What happens next? What happens next is we're going to file an insurance claim. Lloyd's of London and AnchorWatch will initiate the claim and do an investigation. Transparently, we will involve the FBI. This is a serious situation where a kidnapping occurred. But if it appears to be a legitimate kidnapping, a legitimate wrench attack, then that would actually be a covered loss. So that would be somewhere that, even though we have this very robust technology and incredibly robust set of compliance and operational standards, if it comes through, then that's a place that the insurance will cover you. Another place that covers you is in layer 3. So we get some questions of like, this all sounds great, but what happens if AnchorWatch and your recovery partner collude together to steal the Bitcoin? That is very specifically called out in the insurance policy as a covered loss as well. So if AnchorWatch is found to have participated in fraud or collusion causing a loss of your Bitcoin, then that would be a covered loss. And again, that would be where the insurance comes in and covers you. Remember, the policy itself is a Lloyd's of London insurance policy. It's not an AnchorWatch policy. It's Lloyd's that has financial liability for this policy. So they are the ones that would be investigating this situation. So if you sign in one day and your Bitcoin has moved without your permission, you didn't sign a transaction, Lloyd's is going to look into that. And if AnchorWatch fraudulently signed, then that's a covered loss, and you'll be covered via your insurance contract with Lloyd's of London. So that's really an explanation of how the tech and the insurance work together to really holistically protect you from just about every peril that's out there. Again, if everything is going fine, so you haven't been kidnapped, nobody passed away during the policy term, you're happy as a customer of AnchorWatch, then what's going to happen is towards the end of the policy, we're going to get together and we're going to sign a transaction. The signing of the transaction is actually going to move your Bitcoin out of this vault that you see on screen to an identical vault, but one with brand new dates. And so we're just going to roll the dates forward a year, and we will start the new year right up at the top of layer 1. This is important because I started out this explanation reminding you that once a spinning condition is available, it's always always available. So if we don't do that, your policy, or your vault rather, will go into layer 4, and it will still be safe, but it is just a self-custody vault. So if we want to get you back to full protection of having the protection of AnchorWatch as a required signer, we're going to sign the transaction together, move your Bitcoin back to the top of layer 1, and we're going to start this over. And so every year that you're our customer, we're just going to come together once a year. That functions as our opportunity to do a key health check, since we need to pull out the keys to do the transaction, and we just start the year over. So I hope that was helpful, gave you a good understanding of how the vault and our insurance policy work together. The insurance policy also covers a lot of other risks as well. So what the formal language on the policy is saying, you're covered if you experience a permanent loss of access to your Bitcoin. The word permanent is important because with these time locks, there's a variety of things that could happen that we're able to help you recover your Bitcoin with just a little bit of a delay, right? So if you lose a couple of keys, as long as we just wait for layer 2, we're able to support you and you haven't lost permanent access to your Bitcoin. This is important because then you don't get hit with a deductible. So there are no haircuts, as long as you can hang out for a little bit and wait for the time locks to do their work, then you don't even need to file an insurance claim. But if something happens, anything really, any sort of physical event, storms, natural disasters, things like that, that would cause a permanent loss of access to your Bitcoin, wrench attacks, as well as AnchorWatch being fraudulent or participating in collusion, then those are all covered by the insurance policy. So please reach out if you have any questions about how any of this works. If you'd like to go deeper on the tech side or on the insurance side, or if you'd like a quote, you can reach out to us anytime at agent@anchorwatch.com. You can reach me directly at becca@anchorwatch.com, and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks a lot.